I'm Sassy, and that's Firefighter Brian, and we're going to tell you about our dive we went on. Let's go! We drove over to Alabama, y'all. That's right. It was about 2 hours west of Atlanta. This is Blue Water Park. It's a dive park that has a lot of stuff in the water. There you go. Check it all out. And we hit some of that stuff up and we want to show you. So the dive appeared promising when we first jumped in because the water looked pretty good right here, but this was just at the very beginning of the dock. The only wildlife we saw in this quarry was right there by the dock. We were lucky to see this little cutie, a couple other turtles, and some catfish, a few fish. They hang out by the dock because they feed them there, but when we got out further into the lake, we did not see any more wildlife, which was a little disappointing. You can see how murky the water starts to become. Our navigational skills were put to the test because we didn't have anybody tell us that the buoys on the water, we had to figure it out. That actually marks the stuff underwater. So the plane was the first thing that we found after swimming around for a little bit, not doing anything. And we found this cool little alien down there. And this was kind of over in the right-hand corner of the quarry. So this was our first find of the day. This was 38 feet down in the water. You can see our visibility started to get pretty bad. If you look to the right of him, you can see that the wing is visible, but the tail end of the plane is not. So it shows the visibility was only about 10 feet, if that. This is our second find of the day. You can see that my boyfriend is way more adventurous than me. I get pretty claustrophobic, even in big spaces, and he has a lot more fun, and I'm just the girl that films him because I'm too scared. We ended up stumbling on a lot of cars and boats that were not on the map. So you'll see that's kind of what we found a lot of since we weren't willing, well, I was not willing to go below 40 feet because the water actually started to go pitch black and we couldn't even see below 40 feet at all. You'll see I'm checking our depth right there. So I'm nervous. And yeah, we're finding a lot of cars at about 30 feet, not too far out from the docks. So just so y'all know, they are not on the map. What I love about diving is that every time you dive, you get a little bit better with your partner. We've come up with some of our own new sign language. And yeah, I messed up a couple of things on this dive, and so we ended up getting the clipboard out. Mistakes happen, but you get to live and learn.
We got a storm brewing. So we're gonna get one last dive in to find the fire truck. Come on with it.
This is what Brian was super excited to see. It was the fire truck. This is about 38 feet down. Again, our visibility was absolute trash down here, but this was pretty cool. It was a little bit older of a fire truck than I thought it would be, but still was pretty cool. I started to have intrusive thoughts right here as Brian starts to disappear from my view, and he was so close to me. So with this being only my 13th dive, I had to remember do not have intrusive thoughts at 40 feet down. This actually was my favorite find of the day because I love candy, but there were a lot of things we didn't get to see. The school bus, the dragon, so many other things. So this is worth a visit to come back here and find stuff that's deeper down. This is our last find of the day, I believe. It was a boat that was not on the map. I think this was around 40 feet down. It started to get pretty dark down there. We ended up diving 2.5 tanks. The water temperature at the top was about 80 degrees. I think around 40 feet down it was at 66. So even though we had 3 millimeters on, we were still pretty chilly. But I think this spot is worth coming back to in better conditions. The recent storms have really turned up the water, so I think this is somewhere we'll come back to in the future and see if we can get better dive in and go deeper.